But what we're going to do is we're going to go through how to do an apnea very quickly, and then we'll do like a little mini class so you can get a feel of what it's about. For those of you that don't have kind of too much background on hypopressives, it's really a different way of working your pelvic floor. So instead of a conscious contraction, which is what we do in a Kegel, and I'd say like I'm talking pelvic floor, but actually this is more about a core system thing. So how we are used to working our abs, maybe with like crunches or planks, is really a conscious way of working the core system. What we're looking at here is more of a reflexive way of working the core. And we know that actually the core is made up of 80% reflexive rather than conscious, right? So we're bypassing that conscious system and working more in a reactive way and reflexive way of working the whole core system, which instead of thinking about the pelvic floor just being like this one part of our anatomy that's somehow failing us, the core system itself is made up of abdominals, back muscles, pelvic floor, and diaphragm. So when we think of this core canister as being this dynamic unit, we're not so kind of dependent on this one part of our body functioning perfectly all the time. We need like this whole system to all be online, communicating and working well together. So I think that kind of changes the thinking a little bit to where a lot of women get to this place of like, oh, my pelvic floor doesn't work, or I hear a lot of like, it's completely lost any strength, and that's not really the whole story. Okay, so I'm not going to talk too much because I'm really aware we've only got a little bit of time. What we're going to do, and you can do this just seated, so however you are seated, try and find your sit bones into either the floor or a chair. And I want you to just feel for a moment the length of your spine. So as we sit, can you feel your sit bones grounded, and then can you feel that above your pelvis can sit your rib cage, and you can kind of feel these parts yourself. So bony structure of the pelvis, and then the rib cage, and then your shoulders, and then your head. So if you place your hands through the back of the head, feel into that alignment. So a lot of the work we do focuses on posture, and instead of being, so if you kind of go to a place that's familiar for you, so maybe tucked pelvis, maybe head forward, and then come into this lengthened space and feel the difference of the pressure down into the pelvis. So feel into this length through the sides of the waist, shoulders can soften, head comes into your hands. Great, okay. Take a breath here, and I want you to focus on breathing into your rib cage. So breathing wide into the ribs. And getting movement through the rib cage, and then exhale, softening. Okay, great. Take your hands now to your ribs. And we kind of cup the rib cage so you can feel what's happening with your ribs. And what we're going to focus on is the sideways breath of breathing into your ribs. So as you take a breath in through the nose, focus on the ribs moving sideways. So we breathe in, ribs move side, and then exhale, soften, and allow your ribs to fall back down. Great. We're going to take that again. So as you breathe in, think of breathing into your hands, breathing wide. Ribs expand, and then as you exhale, soften and allow the ribs to fall back down. Great. Let's take that one more time. So breathing in through the nose. As you exhale through the mouth, allow the ribs to soften back down. Now we're going to stop, close the breath. So we're going to close nose, mouth, and throat. We're going to hold our breath, and we're going to try to do the same movement with our ribs again. As I open my rib cage, there's this feeling of the belly button coming up underneath the ribs. Then I take a breath in and exhale and release the air. Okay, we're going to try that one more time. So the pattern always 3 breaths, and then once I have finished my 3rd exhale, I close nose, mouth, and throat, hold my breath, and open the ribs. So it can be described like a fake inhale. So it's like the same movement that I'm doing when I breathe, except that I'm not going to take air, right? So I close my breath and then open ribs. And once you get that to feel familiar, the whole thing becomes a lot easier, right? We'll do it one more time sitting, and then we're going to come and lie down. So let's go for another go. The sideways movement gets easier. I want you to think of an accordion, so going sideways. Let's take another go. Take a breath into your ribs. As you exhale, let the ribs soften back down. Good. Again, sideways breath, inhale. And exhale, release. Good. One more breath, expanding ribs, inhale. Exhale, release the air. And then holding breath, slowly grow your ribs open. Take a breath in when you're ready to, and then exhale, release. Okay, and I know it's like a bit of a crazy party trick, and it gets easier as you do it more. What we're doing is we're also stretching the fascial lines of the diaphragm. So as you do this, it gets easier to do, right? It's one of those processes. Okay, so come and lie down on your mat. If you have one, if you don't have a mat, don't worry, just come and lie down on your floor. And we're gonna get started. And what I want you to feel to begin with is what happens when you lie on your back. Can you start to feel the back of the head, the back of your shoulders, and the back of your pelvis into the ground? Okay, so if you want to take a few rocks of your knees side to side to just get a bit more comfortable through your back into the ground. And we're going to do the same thing as we were just doing seated. Just before we do that though, I want you to have a little feel underneath your ribs. So it's almost like you're playing the piano. You're going to have a little feel underneath your rib cage. And I want you to feel, can you get your fingertips underneath your ribs? Does that feel possible? Just loosening out this area underneath the rib cage. Great. Okay. So what we're going to do is take your hands to the sides of your ribs again, and we'll have another go at just feeling the apnea before we take our first pose. So taking a breath into your rib cage, breathing wide. As you exhale, soften and allow the ribs to fall back down. Let's try again. Breathing in, expanding ribs. And exhale, softening, allow the ribs to fall back down. Good, let's go for one more expansive breath in. Exhale, release the air. And then holding breath, slowly open your ribs. And you're thinking of the ribs being like an umbrella. So opening up into that umbrella shape, allowing the belly button to come up underneath the ribs. You can use your fingertips to help you open your ribs more. And then when you're ready to, take a breath in and exhale, release air. Great. So if I was in the room with you right now to help you, especially initially when you're trying to feel this, I would do what you were doing about like playing the piano under the ribs. I would be doing that to you so that you could feel which way your ribs need to go, right? So sometimes your body just needs a little bit of guidance of like, what am I trying to do here? How am I opening my rib cage? So that could be helpful in just getting a little bit of feedback. Okay, so let's take our first pose. So our first pose is called Demeter. You're going to do this lying on your back. So start off foot position is going to move a little further down your mat, right? So if you're kind of there normally in, say, Pilates work, we're going to move the feet a little further down and then flex your feet so that your heels can press into the ground. Our pelvis is neutral, so that means the hip bones and the pubic bone are going to make a nice flat triangle. And I want you to feel as you push your heels into the ground that your hamstrings, the backs of the legs, are going to start to activate. Okay. Then tuck your shoulder blades underneath you, so almost like wings. And you can start with your palms up towards the ceiling. So feel this flatness of your shoulder girdle into the floor. And then look straight up towards the ceiling so that you can feel into the length through the back of your neck. Great. And the feeling that I have, so this pose is called Venus. So we're feeling with the arm position that you're reaching your fingertips down in the direction of your heels as you lengthen through the crown of the head and the back of the neck. And the general feeling you want is that you're active through the back of your body. So you're pressing heels down, you're growing through the crown of the head, and you open through the front of the chest. Okay, so let's have a go. Take a breath into your ribs. As you exhale, feel your heels pressing into the ground. Good. Inhale, wide breath, sideways. Exhale, lengthen through the back of the neck. Nice. Let's take one more breath. Inhale, expand. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Holding breath, slowly grow your ribs open like an umbrella. Keep growing through the crown of the head. Keep pushing your heels into the floor. Lengthen through the back of your neck. Take a breath in when you're ready to. Exhale, gently release the air. Okay, fantastic. We're going to go into our next arm position. So what I want you to feel here is that your shoulder blades are connected into the floor. You're going to rotate your palms down to the ground and then float your arms up towards the air, and you're going to bring your fingertips in towards each other as you bend your elbows out to the side. Okay, so I'll give you a show here. So if you've got your arms off of the ground, elbows are pressing out to the side, hands are pressing up towards the ceiling. So this is Athena arm position. We in Demeter position, lying on our backs. I want you to feel again this activation of the back of the body. So there's a feeling like you're nudging your neighbor to the side of you with your elbows, and at the same time you're holding up the ceiling with your hands. Your heels are still pressing into the ground, and you're growing taller through the crown of the head. Okay, fantastic. We're going to stay here for the 3 breaths. Once we open our rib cage, we're going to slowly take our arms back behind us, which you can try now. So as you take your arms back behind you, see if you can get longer through the body. The ribs are going to open more. Okay, so let's start. Hands are above our chest. Feel that you've got quite good space between your hands, so they're almost opposite your shoulders is a good position. Okay, nice and long through the back of the neck. Let's take a breath into your ribs, breathing wide. Exhale, lengthen the spine. Good, elbows bend to the side, inhale. Exhale, grow taller. Really good, one more breath, inhale. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Holding breath, slowly grow your ribs open. Slowly take your arms back behind you. As your arms go back behind you, feel that your ribs can open more. Yeah, that's it. Good. Belly button's coming up underneath the ribs. Lengthen through the crown of the head. Take a breath in when you're ready to, and then exhale, coming all the way back. Okay, well done, well done. So we're going to try one more pose on hands and knees. So this is a great pose called Maya, and Maya is really helpful in getting a lot of lift off the pelvic floor, but also getting our shoulder girdle to kind of organize itself. So toes are tucked under. I'm on my knees, and I'm going to come forward onto my forearms. But I'm keeping a straight line from my knees to my pelvis. So I want a 90-degree angle here from knees to pelvis. And I'm going to take my elbows out to the side. And my forehead is going to find the floor. But my main places of contact is pressing through the forearms and through the feet. And I've got really good length from my tailbone all the way to the crown of the head. So let's have a look. Yeah, that's looking great. So feel into this press of the forearms and the press through the feet. Feel open through the shoulders. We're going to take a breath into your ribs, breathing wide. Exhale, soften, keep growing through the crown of the head. Good. Again, inhale, expanding ribs sideways. Exhale, soften, lengthen the tailbone. Very good. We take one more breath. Inhale, expand. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Holding breath. Slowly grow your ribs open. As your rib cage opens, get longer through the tailbone and the back of the neck, and feel into the push of the forearms and the feet. Take a breath in when you're ready to. Exhale, gently release air. Okay, fantastic. Sit back into a child's pose just for a moment. You can sit all the way back, take a few moments just to breathe into the back of the rib cage. And I'm just going to talk about something that might be going on for you if you're not feeling it deeply, and then we'll give that one more go. So where people often go wrong in this technique is that they hold onto their abs too tight. And that's a conditioning thing, right? We are often, well, many of us have worked in a way that you've been told to like hold onto your abs, like hold your core, strengthen your abs by drawing your navel into your spine, all that kind of cueing, right? So it's quite difficult in this position, which feels like it could be a little bit similar to a plank, to relax the belly, right? We're often holding too much. And when you are holding onto the belly, it is very hard to open your rib cage. Okay, so actually the cue that is most helpful after the third exhale is to soften the belly. Soften the belly so that then you can open your ribs, right? So if I am gripping my abs, all I'm doing really is holding my obliques, and that's going to keep my ribs shut, and I can't open my rib cage. So I've got to soften the belly completely so that then I can open my rib cage, right? So if you're feeling in this like you're putting in a lot of effort and nothing's happening, it's because your abs are switched on, right? And we're trying to get that to soften so that then you can open more, right? That's kind of the key to it. We're going to give this one more go so you can have another chance at feeling it. So come into the pose with toes tucked under and forearms pressing into the ground. Try and be soft on the pressure through the head, so the head's lightly placed on the floor. You've got more work happening through your forearms pressing down, shoulders are wide, and feet into the ground. Okay, nice and long through the spine and the back of the neck. Take a breath into your ribs. Exhale, soften. Good. Again, wide breath into the rib cage. Inhale. And exhale, release. Really good. Take one more breath. Inhale. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Holding breath, slowly grow your ribs open. As your ribs open, see if you can get longer through the tailbone and the back of the neck. Feel into the press of the forearms and the feet. Very good. Take a breath in. And exhale, release. Fantastic. Okay, we've got time for one last pose. So we're going to come up to stand. Your choice, you can come up through a downward dog if you want to, lifting the pelvis up. You can pedal out feet, just get a little bit of stretch through the back body. Or you can come all the way up to stand. Let's walk hands back towards your feet. Allow your head to soften over your thighs. Take a breath in. Exhale, rolling all the way up through the spine, coming up to stand. Okay, fantastic. So we're just going to finish off with one more standing pose. And kind of as we did seated, come and stand for a moment, feet into the ground. And then take your arms up with your hands behind your head. And just come and stand for a moment, feeling into this length through your body. Good. Shoulders are spread sideways. And as your head comes into your hands, can you feel into the length of your whole skeleton, right? So if you imagine where you are often in your standing posture, and you can kind of find that place, and then come to this lengthened place, length through the trunk, head into your hands. Good. Take a breath here. Let your body register this place. And exhale. Great. Okay. Release your arms down by your side. And let's come back into our Athena arms. So palms are forward, elbows are out to the side, and have that good space between your hands so you can be open through the collarbones. Good. Okay. Elbows are pressing sideways, growing through the crown of your head. You're going to soften your knees. And your weight is going to come slightly forward onto your toes. So my axis is a little forward here. Okay, nice and tall through the spine. Take a breath in. Breathe into the ribs. Exhale, lengthen the spine. Good. Again, sideways breath. Inhale. Exhale, elbows are pressing side. One more breath. Inhale, expanding ribs. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Holding breath, slowly grow your ribs open. Slowly float your arms up. And as your arms come up, press the hands up towards the ceiling. Elbows are out to the side. Lengthen through the spine. Very good. Take a breath in. Exhale, slowly bringing your arms all the way down. Good. Shake out your arms. Really good. Let's take a roll down to finish. So standing nice and tall, take a breath in, float your arms up. As you exhale, nod your chin, roll down through the spine. Let the head be heavy as you relax your arms, relax your head. Take a big breath into the back of your ribs. And then as you exhale, slowly drop the tailbone and roll back up through the spine, coming all the way up and tall. Great. Roll your shoulders down your back. Close your eyes for just a moment. Feel feet into the floor. And then feel into the stacking of your pelvis and your ribs and your shoulders and your head. Take one more breath here, feeling present in your body, breathing in. And exhale. When you're ready to, slowly blink open your eyes. And we are done. Very good.